Today we're going to talk about the fine-tuning argument. Been able to escape the city life and come up to the cabin for a day. Got that fire rip roaring. Got the coffee nice and coffeeed. And got an excellent text. This is a great textbook I recommend for doing philosophy of religion, contemporary arguments in natural theology. Highly recommended. And I'm going to talk about one of my favorite arguments, which is the fine-tuning argument. This has an article by Michael Rota, and he gives a really apt example to sort of get our minds around just how improbable and awesome the fact that the universe is fine-tuned for life really is. So, imagine you've just bought a ticket in an unusual lottery. A large set of cards have been printed, each with a different number printed on it, okay? Tons of cards, way more than this, but, got to have some props, and each card has a number on it. Only one card has the winning number. Your ticket entitles you to select a single card from the large set of cards, and if you select the winning card, you win $1 billion. Part of what makes this lottery so unusual is the number of cards, which are each the size of standard business cards. 3.5 inches wide by 2 inches tall and 0.016 inches thick. So they'd be a little smaller than a standard deck of cards. You can tell I'm not very good at cards. I like those people that just fan it. That's not me. That's about as good as it gets. Okay, so the lottery organizers have placed the cards in boxes that are 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot cubes, because each box contains 15,174 cards. Okay, they have then placed the boxes in standard steel shipping containers, which are 40 foot by 8 foot by 8.5 feet on the outside. Now, each of those shipping containers holds 2,400 such boxes. So we got 15,000 cards in each box. Then we have 2,400 boxes in each shipping cube. They have covered the entire surface area of Texas with 23,088,168,276 such shipping containers, allowing them to accommodate all, oh boy, it's too high. It's above 1 trillion. 840, 815, 677, 008, 100, 000 cards printed. Okay, and then he tells us how it is. It's 816 trillion tickets. Okay? Trillion tickets. Ever hopeful, you climb into a helicopter, consult the map of Texas, and direct the pilot to fly what used to be San Antonio. After flying over a nearly endless sea of shipping containers, you arrive in the San Antonio area and select at random one of the particular containers from amongst the thousands within close reach. You then disembark and spend a few hours unloading box after box so that you can pick a particular box from near the back of the shipping container. You open that box, hold your breath, and remove one of the cards contained, leaving the other 15,173 behind. The number on your card reads 74 trillion 592 324 578 811 234. The smiling lottery employee accompanying you announces that you have lost. Then things get interesting, though. Story's not done. Bob, the next participant in the lottery, has been with you in the helicopter. Now he gets his turn, okay? He directs the pilot to fly over what used to be Corpus Christi. picks a shipping container, picks a box, picks a card, and wins the lottery. You later learn that Bob is the nephew of a computer programmer who was an employee at the lottery. Would you be suspicious? If so, you might like the fine-tuning argument. Dun, 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 dun. So, this is a fun example. The numbers get crazy, but that's kind of the whole point. The odds of a particular constant, like the strong nuclear force, or the weight of gravity, the constant of gravity, falling within the particular range that would be life permitting, given all the possible ranges it could have fallen into, is like your old friend Bob, who has a nephew who's a computer programmer. It looks like the best explanation for why Bob would have got the winning ticket out of all those odds, out of all those tickets, all those shipping containers covering Texas, that it was rigged, right? It would be highly unlikely that he would have. Now, it's possible, but it would have been so remotely unlikely that it would have happened to pick the right number without it being rigged, if it were just pure chance. One of the parameters that often gets discussed in the fine-tuning argument is the cosmological constant. And as you may know, the universe is expanding, and the rate at which the universe expands and grows is measured by the cosmological constant. Now, if the effective cosmological constant were a negative number, the expansion of space would decelerate, and then space would begin to contract. Okay? The larger the negative number, the sooner the contraction would begin. Crucially, the observation of Perlmutter and Schmidt in their research teams allowed for a precise calculation of the value of the effective constant. Okay? If it were positive as well, so if it's negative, it would collapse back, and the bigger the negative number, collapse back faster. And the positive number, if it's too high, it'll expand too fast. And so it has to be perfectly fine-tuned. So measuring the Planck units, it turns out to be extremely small positive number, almost but not quite zero. So it has to be positive for it to keep expanding, but it's got to be just so finely tuned that it's crazy, right? Okay, and then here's the punchline. Given what we know from physics, it was unbelievably unlikely that the value of the effective cosmological constant would have fallen inside the narrow life-permitting range between about -1 over 10 to the 120 and about +1 over 10 to the 120 of the relevant units. It appears that the cosmological constant could have been anywhere in a very large range, large relative to the band which is life permitting. And if it hadn't been just right, we wouldn't exist. Now, here's another interesting thing. Quote, what is amazing to physicists is that even though each of the individual contributions to the cosmological constant could have taken any of a huge range of values, it somehow turned out that all the various individual contributions conspire to almost cancel each other out. Almost, but not quite. A cancellation to exactly zero would suggest the presence of some relatively simple underlying mechanism by which various pairs necessarily cancel each other. But when Perlmutter, Schmidt, and Rees discovered that the effective cosmological constant is not exactly zero, this simple explanation was ruled out. And this is why the discovery was so surprising to other physicists. With the prospects exceedingly dim for a simple, elegant solution showing why the cosmological constant has to be zero, we're left with what appears to be an enormous consequence. How enormous? One that would make participating in our hypothetical lottery look like a fantastically prudent investment. The chance of winning that lottery fairly would be approximately 1 in 10 to the 18. Here we go. The chance of the cosmological constant falling in the life-permitting range without a universe designer involved would be approximately 1 in 10 to the 120. And then philosophers John Hawthorne and Yoav Isaacs put the figure in perspective. Quote, "Your odds of guessing a person randomly selected from Rhode Island are around 1 in 1 million. Your odds of guessing a person randomly selected from India are around 1 in 1 billion. But your odds of guessing an atom randomly selected from the known universe are a mere 1 in 10 to the 80, which is not even close to 1 in 10 to the 120. Did you hear that? The odds of you selecting an atom from the known universe is massive, is a mere 1 in 10 to the 80. And the chance of the cosmological constant falling in the life-permitting range is even greater, 1 in 10 to the 120. And that's way more unlikely than it is that you would actually win that crazy lottery with the cards. So I hope this gives you a sense of the profundity of what we're dealing with. And that's just one constant, okay? So this is one constant. And if you think about it, like I mentioned, the strong nuclear force, the gravitation, there's many different key constants that had to all fall within their particular ranges in order for this universe to be life permitting. Now, is it possible it's just a coincidence? No. I mean, well, it's possible, but it's so unlikely that we have to have some other explanation, right? A designer could fine-tune the universe for life, especially with the intention of creating intelligent life. So you can see that would make sense of the fantastic odds. That is, that a designer had intentionally selected things to work out such a way that we could exist. So I hope that's helpful. I hope it just gives you a sense of what we're wrestling with in the fine-tuning argument.